Okay, so I think we'll get going now. Just by way of introduction, the person leading the call will be Tom on the left here. Tom founded our business just over 3 years ago now, and I joined just under 3 years ago. So just by way of introduction, I joined in the business development team, and for the last 6 months, I have been working very closely with Tom, unfortunately, on the launch of our new product. So we've been developing it together along with a few team members here. Zah here, I can see on the call, has been very handy as well. So is Gaurav and the whole marketing team. So that's a quick introduction. I will let Tom introduce himself.
Hi everyone, afternoon. Yeah, Tom Alon. I've co-founded the business with another Tom. A little under 4 years ago now, and the focus on making it much simpler, cheaper to get into electric cars and broadly get on the net zero journey. Right, shall I kick off then?
Yeah.
Good. Look, we'll start. I'm aware there's a few different types of people on the call. We have some of our current clients at the electric car scheme. So hello there. Thank you for supporting us. And this hopefully is an addition to what we can offer you. We have some, I think, prospective clients on the call. So welcome. We'd love to tell you more about what we do. And some prospective partners or people in the ecosystem, which we'd love to meet and get to know. And I think there's plenty of opportunities to work together with lots of different companies on these types of products. So I will give a bit of context about why we do what we do, what the electric car scheme is, and then it will help us explain what this new product, the charge scheme, is. So I'll start with the why. At the core, moving to net zero is too expensive, right? Plus, if you ask people what they want to get out of their benefits, their employee benefits, the vast majority, close to 80%, say the top thing I need to get out of my benefits is to save money. Effectively, I need more support, more compensation, not necessarily in salary, but in value. If you click me one forward, Matt. They also say, individuals say, we can't afford to make green choices. I don't have enough money to get an electric car. I don't have enough money to consider a heat pump, maybe even to buy products that are considered to be more green. Most people say that. But they also say, I expect my company to take proactive steps in moving to a more sustainable way of working. So there's a bit of a dichotomy there. Individuals say, I can't afford it, but they point to their company and say, I expect you to be moving towards this proactively. And finally, when we talk to employers, they're also under the cosh in terms of budgets, and they say, look, if we're going to work with benefits, I can't spend new money on benefits. Sorry, I don't have budget. So it's got to be free. And of course, it's got to be easy to use because I don't have enough time. So there's kind of this magic triangle. Hit me one more and the triangle will appear. This magic triangle, if we can save people money, if we can make proactive steps towards net zero, and if it's free and easy to use for employers, then we're doing something special, really what people need. Click me one forward, Matt. And that's what we've built with the electric car scheme. So the core of our business that we've built is a simpler and more affordable way to get into an electric car through an employee benefit. The employer signs up, offers the benefit to staff, and this is the experience your staff would see. They're able to come on, look at all the offers for electric cars, select the car, spec it out, add insurance, maintenance, a charge point, and get a price. And they're able, the company would provide that as a benefit, and the employee is able to reduce their salary effectively to pay for the car. And because they're effectively paying from their gross pay, that's coming out before income tax and national insurance. So they can save 30-60% on the car. So it ends up being a huge value, obviously, to take steps towards a green future. This particular car, the quote's coming up at nearly £800 per month if it was a new car they bought themselves, but net of tax saving, it's costing them £500 a month. So make around £10,000 savings, which is the average savings an employee would get using the scheme like this. Flick onto the next slide for me, Matt. Thank you. So that's been successful. We have managed to solve this magic triangle. We've done quite well over the last few years. I'm very happy, proud to work with 1,500 clients, any size of business pretty much, anything from 1 employee to 10,000 employees, and the rich and wonderful world of small, medium-sized business. If you flick on, Matt, one more, thank you. Now, the key to this scheme, the key to our business, is to make sure that we achieve a few things in providing the scheme. The first is it's an affordability benefit, so we better go and find the best prices for the cars. There's no point signing up to the benefit and then getting poor prices. So we work across the market with all the top financiers in the UK. They all have different prices. They all change every day. And on a day someone wants a car, we can go and find the best price for that car. The second point is, with a business taking on car leases, there is some risk to the business. If an employee leaves or is made redundant, there's generally fees to pay. And we say, no, an employer needs it to be free and simple. We will cover all these risks. So there's no potential downside, no potential cost for the employer because they're taking on leases. It doesn't cost the employer anything. And of course, we put on white gloves and treat our clients and drivers and employees with a real 5-star service. So that's the core of what's made the electric car scheme grow well. I think we'll do questions at the end, but thank you. And of course, you can drop a question in the chat. If we flick onto the next slide. Let's go back. So that's grown well. Give me the magic triangle, thanks. And up to the beginning of this year, that was our core product. And then obviously this year, we've started thinking about how can we push beyond what we were offering for new cars to staff? How do we help them save more money, move towards green, but it must still be free and easy for employers. So one of the steps forward in that vein we made this year was to launch used cars into the scheme. So flick on one more, Matt, thank you. Used cars, I mean, I've never bought a new car in my life. I think 80% of the country hasn't. 4 in 5 car transactions in the UK are for used cars, right? So the car market is the used car market, and now there are electric cars coming through that are a good volume of electric cars coming through that are 2, 3, 4 years old. We can now access them. They're obviously half the price of a new car. Flick one more on, Matt. They're done up. One more click as well will help us. They're done up to scratch, so they look and they smell like new. They're sitting in a warehouse. They're ready to be sent to the driver within 12 days. There's no wait time. So this is a great product, and it's affordability product. So maybe it caught us by surprise, I would say. But within 2 months, this was the majority of demand we had from employees. So now most of our business is in used car salary sacrifice. And if you're a prospective client or an employer thinking about salary sacrifice as a benefit for cars for your staff, you need to be thinking about used cars, because that is the majority of what your staff will buy if it's offered to them, because they're more affordable. And when we launched this to our existing customer base, we saw a few things happen. So you get people at the lower end of the salary ranges able to suddenly afford the entry-level car, which is great. Like, this is the first time they've been able to consider getting the car, getting into an EV. And then you have people who were considering an entry-level car, but suddenly can afford a second-hand mid-range car like a Tesla, and that's very exciting for them. That makes them get the jump. And then you've got other people who can afford to get in the mid-range car, but suddenly they can save 40%, and why not? And I definitely fall into that camp. I've jumped into a used MG and I saved a lot of money. All right, so that's a bit of background about what we've done so far and how we think about what we're trying to do. But it's the same motivation going forward, to help employees save money, to help them move towards net zero, and it must be free and easy to use for employers. One more click, thanks, Matt. And what we were hearing from our drivers and our prospective drivers who talk to our staff say, okay, I'm thinking about getting an electric car, but charging is too complicated and too expensive, especially for those who didn't have access to a home driveway where home charging is relatively cheap. They're thinking, right, where do I get my car charged? I'm worried when I turn up, it's not going to be available. And by the way, I've looked at the prices, and the prices look very high for electricity on the public roads. Are they higher than petrol? And there's been a few articles recently about that. But it's definitely a big concern, and it is expensive. So we had to dive into this and have a look about what is available for prospective drivers publicly and how could we help. So if you click on one more. So when you look at the prices for charging, when we start look at this is the RAC data, look back a couple of years, we say, okay, charging was cheaper per mile than petrol or diesel. So you've got a couple of lines here. I'll explain what they are. The green lines are public charging, the cost per mile for public charging. So it was around 13 pence per mile. The blue line at the bottom is home charging, obviously much cheaper because you can use your home utility rates. And the grey lines were petrol and diesel. So great, get into electric car, it's going to be cheaper to run. That was the message a couple of years ago. But if you click forward, Matt, the world changed. Electricity got a lot more expensive and petrol and diesel got cheaper. Home rates also got a bit more expensive, so now coming down a bit. But now, if you want to charge publicly, it's cost 24p per mile, which is significantly more than filling up with petrol or diesel. So if I can suddenly afford an electric car, I've now really got to think quite carefully about the cost to run it. I've heard maintenance is cheaper or there's less moving parts, but like I've got to fill it with juice, and it's it seems significantly more expensive, and I'm not sure if I can afford that. And that's the right question to be asking, because it's all about affordability. So if you flick on Matt once, so that gave us a good focus for where we should develop the product, our offering, and the company. So we're launching the Charge Scheme, which is salary sacrifice for electric car charging. We're not so creative with brand names. We've got the electric car scheme, and now we've got the Charge Scheme. Right? Hopefully, it does what it says on the tin. Flip me on one more. Thanks. So what is the Charge Scheme? So it allows employees to get a car through salary sacrifice, charge whether it's at home or in public, and we provide an app which shows them where the nearest charge point is, shows them if it's available, shows them if it's working. They'll turn up and flick the card on, pay for their charging, and the cost to charge their car will come out their salary the next month before tax, hence saving basically their tax rate on car charging, all car charging. So if we move on to how that impacts driving, like what does it mean for costs? Right now, if you want to publicly charge on a rapid charger more than 50 kilowatts, so you'll want a rapid charger if you're going anywhere. If you want to charge within 10, 15, 20 minutes, that needs to be on a rapid charger. Then obviously you can save your tax rate and you get close to or at the same rate as petrol and diesel. So you can say, look, I'm moving on the go. I need to charge on the go, like I fill up with petrol. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer. But it's going to be the same cost as petrol. And now I'm comfortable it's going to be at least the same price, hopefully cheaper. Obviously, if you have more time for your charging, you're going to leave it overnight. There are cheaper chargers. They're at 20p a mile, still more expensive than petrol and diesel, but now they can be much cheaper. And if you're home charging, obviously you can save on that even more. So 8p a mile is about the max based on the energy price cap that you'll be getting at home. And if you're on one of these Wizzy overnight or specific EV tariffs, you might be already down at 2p a mile, but again, you can save 30% on that and nearly be charging for free. So what does this mean for the average driver who gets the charge scheme? Okay, well, if you're a home charger, you've got a home charge point. The vast majority of the time, you're going to be charging at home unless you're going for a long journey. But let's say you charge at home 100% of the time. On an average mileage against all the employees we have, that means over the lease, you're going to save £1,000. Okay, nice win. You know, an extra 10% on the savings that you already got in the car. You save 10 grand on the car, you're going to save another £1,000 in charging. But the real benefit comes where you are considering to use public charging a lot, and maybe all the time, because you don't have access to a public charger. And in that case, you're going to be spending £13,000 over the life of the lease on energy, but saving about £4,000. So £1,000 a year in savings, and that's getting to really significant numbers, and hopefully helping people make the choice to move into electric cars and save the money. If we flick onto the next slide, so I'll talk about a little bit more about how it works. So when you get a car, if you're already in a salary sacrifice car, or you're getting one, then we will send you a card. Looks like that. I have a blurry screen, but one of these RFID cards, and with an invite to download the Charge Scheme app. You connect the card to the app, and you connect your debit card to effectively pay for your energy. And you can go up to any of 55,000 chargers in the UK, and you can tap that card and pay like you're paying with a debit card. And this is through the Plugsurfing network. Someone asked, what is it? Is that Map network? Like, this is a network called Plugsurfing, which amalgamates all the different or many of the different charge point operators. They cover at the moment 60% of all chargers in the UK, and that you know, should get you a charge point close by, right? Certainly for convenience. It does work with a virtual card. It's much easier with a real card, just because you can walk up and tap it. And we can also, you're paying for your public charge, you're paying for your home charging through your home tariff, and we'll be tracking the cost of that. So if you flick on to the next slide, the way it works is you pay for your public charging, you pay for your home charging. At the end of the month, you tell us your mileage. With that information, we will calculate the cost of charging your electric car, and we'll be able to give that information to your employer in the next month. And in that next month, your employer will give you a reimbursement, effectively an expense payment for the cost of charging, and deduct that amount from your salary. So effectively, you're getting paid an expense for the cost of the car, but at the same time, it's coming off your gross salary, and that's how you save on the tax rate. It's very simple to administer. In terms of the employee, it's just paying as you would normally for your charge and giving a mileage reading once a month. And for the employer, you're already engaged in changing the pay slip each month for salary sacrifice, and it's an additional instruction into the pay slip. We flick on one more. So this is just a quick example of the employee experience, submitting mileage. They submit their mileage. This is how much I've done in the last month. Hit the button, and it will just show you how much you've saved in the month on charging, which is nice. Flick one more on. I can show you my payslip now, just to make it real. Blocked out all the interesting, all the more interesting stuff, but you can look at the interesting stuff for the salary, the electric car scheme and the charge scheme. So if you look at electric car salary sacrifice, that's the monthly salary sacrifice for my second-hand car, £290. Unfortunately, I got a parking ticket, so that also comes off because my employer paid for it and then deducted it from my salary, because you can't salary sacrifice parking tickets, unfortunately. And finally, I spent around £400 on charge during the month. and I got a reimbursement of that amount and a deduction from my gross salary. Then this is sent in a payroll report to the employer, who will forward it to the payroll manager, either internal or external. It can either be processed manually or uploaded in templates to the payroll system, and it's very, very simple. Click on one more. All right, this is a bit of a customer story. Over to you, Matt.
Yeah. So when we were launching this scheme, we looked for some trial companies with some employees from different kind of demographics in there. What we were really interested to see was kind of who's driving an electric car without a home charger, because that is ultimately, the more expensive way of driving electric, and those people who make the switch really deserve to make the most of these savings. And the public charging savings are kind of where the product is designed to help. That is the ultimate problem that they're trying to solve. So this is John. John works for a company called Red Badger. John lives in Croydon, and he doesn't have access to a home charger, and actually can't have access to a home charger. So he's made the decision to go electric anyway, even though he has to charge at public charge points. He's loving it, by the way. He's really happy with his decision. He's got an MG4, and he does around 10,000 miles a year. So I spoke to John. I said, how much are you paying per kilowatt to charge your car? And because it's really inconvenient to charge really, really slowly all the time, he uses a fairly quick charger, and it costs him 65p per kilowatt. Now, I took John's car, which is an MG4. It does 3.8 miles per kilowatt. I divided 9,000 miles by that, times it by the pence per kilowatt that he is spending, and he's spending nearly £1,500 a year on charging publicly, which is it's not outrageous compared to the cost of petrol, but with the charge scheme, which he is extremely proudly holding here, just like I am, he is saving just under £500 a year, and that is in a fairly efficient vehicle, one of the more efficient vehicles, only doing 9,000 miles a year. So the power of this product is really demonstrated by John here. And the bigger cars, the less efficient ones, and the more expensive the charger, the savings just go up and up and up. And obviously they're just dependent on tax bands as well. So this is a picture of John here, proudly holding the charge card, which it's really great to see in the hands of one of our customers.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. All right, let's move on. So how might you engage with the charge scheme? So it's available with the electric car scheme. Obviously, if you're on the electric car scheme already, we can add this to your offering to your employees. Very simple to add it. Just need it's an additional service agreement, just so it's clear what you're getting from us. But no more than a one page with a signature at the bottom. If you're in an employer that has another salary sacrifice provider for cars, then you could add this as an add-on to that. So let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're with Tusker and you've got 100 drivers on Tusker, or in a Tusker car. You could add the charge scheme and give them all a charge scheme card to help them save money on top of that. We support that as well. All right. Right, there's a few things we'd love you to do before Q&A or while we're going through Q&A. If you just want to learn more, there's a link to our site that's dedicated to the charge scheme. If you're a partner on here and you're interested to work with us, maybe to offer it to your clients, offer it within your charge scheme, or just have a chat about how we might work together, for sure. We've got a partner page with a little form you can fill in. We'll get in touch. If you're an employer, either an existing client of ours, you might be keen to have a one-on-one, answer any final points you have, talk a bit about process and get you on board. That's easy. If you're a prospective client, again, you'll probably want to talk more deeply about some of this stuff. So you can book a one-on-one with us. We'll go through it together. We'll get you signed up. Or if you're just ready to go, or you got any other questions, just get in touch. I'm Tom at electriccarscheme.com. And there was loads of questions flying in, which is really cool. So yeah, let's do a Q&A.
Awesome. So I'll start with the questions in the chat because there's been a few of them. Once we get through those, we'll kind of open the floor up. So question here from Colin is Colin is commuting 110 miles round journey each day to and from work. So massive amount of miles actually. Well done, Colin, for doing that. I'm sure your employer is very happy with you. So what sort of cost will I incur? It's more, this is a savings mechanism, right? So if you are spending £100 public charging each day, I know it's a crazy example, you'll save a minimum of £20 on that £100. So really nothing changes other than you are now able to save on your charging costs.
Can I just put in there? Sorry, it's not about the actual cost of the charging. And I've got a charger at home, and we've always got free charging at work. So the actual cost of the charging is not a worry. It's not the actual cost of having the car itself, because it says it's capped at 10,000 miles, and it says it's this much money, the MG4 for instance. So if I'm doing twice that, how much will it cost me per month for the car? Because it doesn't give you option to see what the mileage is.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go on our quote tool online, you'll be able to put up to 30,000 miles a year in there, and it will show you the cost of the car as you increase the mileage per year. I can't get an example up right now, but on our online quote tool, pop a few details in there, choose the car, put your salary in, put your insurance details in, and then you can up the mileage to 20,000. So it'll give you a, we don't cap it at 10,000 miles basically. So you can get a price for anything up to 30,000 miles. Okay, cool. Shamlia, did you say there are no termination charges if there are any issues if we leave employment due to change circumstances? Yeah, so this is related to the car scheme. We offer market-leading risk protection for the electric car scheme, which means if you leave, if you resign, if you're made redundant, if you're dismissed, you are covered pretty much from day one, other than resignation. So it's a very safe way of leasing a car, and you don't need to worry about kind of changing jobs or leaving your employment. We will cover most of those circumstances. That's actually the main thing that we do for businesses. Trev, can we remove the need to put contact details in before getting quotes? You can put fake details in there. That's absolutely fine. This is how we get, and in the find your business thing, you can just put your favorite football club in there. This is how we get our leads at the moment, and how we do business, and how we're able to stay afloat. So we can't remove that just yet. Maybe somewhere down the line we will do, but for now it's got to stay there. You can put fake details in there though. That's absolutely fine. Or just put a fake phone number in there, and you won't get a call. Charles, we will absolutely be recording this. We'll definitely post it on our LinkedIn over the next few days. Just watch out for our if you follow us on LinkedIn, we'll get it up there. Yeah, absolutely. Pre-owned second-hand vehicles, that's been massive for us, and really for everyone that we cater for. It's very, very important. It's been a huge part of our business. Delphi, is this approved by HMRC?
Should I take this one, Matt?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it legal, Tom?
Okay. So an obvious question is, how does this work? Is it legal? Is HMRC okay with this? The answer is it is absolutely legal. Unfortunately, for any car scheme or charge scheme or similar scheme, HMRC will not provide an approval. They just don't do that. We do write to them. We do tell them what we're doing. We do ask them for approval, but they no longer give it. They send back a letter that says there are no questions of significant legal concern here, but it's not an approval. So they rely on companies getting their own tax advice, and they hold it within their rights to come and audit you and take their own views. So what have we done to get comfortable that this is legal? Obviously, we've engaged our own legal and tax advisors. And the core of how this works for the compliance people and the tax people in the room is when a company pays for car charging for an employee's company car that is an electric car, then there is no benefit in kind created. It's not considered to be a source of income for the employee, and therefore it's not taxed as such. And separately, the employee and employer enter an agreement for the employee to receive the benefit in exchange for reducing their salary. And that needs to be clear, set up, agreed ahead of the benefit being provided. So these are the two bits that we set up and facilitate and make simple and easy. And that at the core of it is how a salary sacrifice scheme works. and we've had multiple legal and tax advisors to support us to get comfortable with the approach. And if that's something a concern, let's say for your internal legal and compliance team, we're very happy to share the advice that we've received.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. So let's keep cracking on through the questions. The next one is from Rebecca. This is a very important question. So would staff be eligible even if the car wasn't leased through you? So the criteria for staff to be eligible is that it's a company lease vehicle. And just to clarify, all salary sacrifice vehicles are company lease vehicles. So you can have a scheme through a different salary sacrifice provider, or maybe straight with a lessor, or it may even just be a company car. And anyone on any of those schemes can use the charge scheme for all of their personal mileage. So yeah, absolutely, staff can.
I would add to that, it has to be an electric car. Purely electric car. I know a question further down says, can it be a hybrid? It can't be a hybrid. Must be fully electric.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. So Charles, is it integrated with ZapMap? Yes, absolutely. We have Plugsurfing, the app, or the Charge Scheme app. So it's very, very similar. You just go on the app and it will show you your nearest catered for charger in exactly the same way as ZapMap will. It's not directly integrated, but if you can kind of see the chargers that are catered for through ZapMap if you want to. If that's your preferred method of finding a charger, that's absolutely fine. Our app will tell you which chargers are available. ZapMap will tell you where they are and if they're working. Liam, does it link?
Sorry, just on that one again, I'll add a bit of relevant information here that I know is asked a bit later. So which networks are available within the scheme and within the app? It's the vast majority of networks, including Ionity, GridServe, a long list of other brands. It doesn't yet include the Tesla Supercharge system, but will do later this year. So Plugsurfing, who we use to manage the app and also create the network of charge points, they're constantly adding these providers. I'm sure they're trying to get to 100% there. It's 60%, which is 55,000 chargers already.
Awesome.
I can take the next two if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for home tariffs, does this work with Octopus home tariff or OVO Charge Anytime home tariff? Yes, any home tariff this will work with. So whatever you're paying for your home electricity that's going into the car, be tracking it, and you'll be able to save that through salary sacrifice.
Cool. Robert, is there a visual card as well as a physical card? So the app doesn't yet sync with Apple Wallet or the Android equivalent, but I think that would be further down the line. You can use the app as the payment method as well. So it kind of does the same thing, but you have to go into the app. It's not just 2 clicks of the button. It's you go into the app. So yeah, you don't have to have your wallet with you. I know most people don't really take their wallets around anymore with Apple Pay and things. So you can just use the app. That's absolutely fine. And that answers Robin's question as well. Can you add to Apple Pay? Not yet, hopefully soon. Does the employer need to agree to join the charge scheme if we're already with ECS? They do indeed. So there is basically an addendum to the contract they already have with us, just to outline our obligations to your company and yours to us to join the charge scheme. So we would recommend, if you reach out to anyone from the electric car scheme, your EV specialist, your operations or delivery owner, or your business development executive, they will point you in the right direction, and we will try and book in a call with your employer to try and get this set up for them. Absolutely fine. Nick, what about hybrids? So hybrids, as Tom said, is unfortunately not catered for through the scheme. I'm not sure it will be at all, Tom. No.
The charge scheme won't be able to support hybrids. It won't work with the tax, unfortunately. So time to change car.
Yeah, you're halfway there, Nick. Time to take the plunge. Okay, so Sue, do you send payroll reports for the whole company or that individual? Yeah. So if you're an existing electric car scheme customer, it will just be an extra line on your payroll report that you get anyway in the first couple of days of each month. But they are all collected together, so each employee will be displayed on the same payroll report. Kim, Can you access the charge scheme if already with another EV provider, or would you have to have ECS also? You absolutely can if you're with any of our similar providers like Octopus, Tusker, or any of these guys. You can absolutely use the charge scheme. We can add it on as a separate thing. It would be brilliant for you to book a call through one of the QR codes on the screen, and we can go into a little bit more detail on how we do that. This is a same question as well, Robin. Do you have an EV3 ECS? Anyone with an EV, but has to be a company lease car. Okay, so next one. Trev, so what happens if the charge you've added via the card doesn't match the mileage? If you paid yourself for any reason, or if you get to put your mileage in. So we take a total mileage reading from you. We then take what you spent on the card and we work out your payroll instructions therefore. So it's unlikely that would happen. If you paid for the charge yourself, that's okay. You would just have to save against a rate of 7p rather than an exact cost of the public network. So it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. If you leave the card and your phone, or maybe you charge at a charger that's not under the charge scheme network, it's still absolutely fine. You can still save money. Okay. Which of the big charge networks are not included? So I think Tom went into a little bit of detail on this. So Tesla are not yet included, but will be later on this year. Instacart, I believe, are. GridServe are included as well. Anyone can download the Charge Scheme app right now. You don't have to be one of our customers. Anyone can just have a look. So, and that will show you your nearest catered for chargers. So if you just go on the App Store, type in the Charge Scheme, you'll be able to download the app, and you will you'll see your local charger. So Katie, when you say low owner, how low is this? So really the idea of this scheme is to help basic rate taxpayers sort of make the step to go into an EV by reducing the overall ownership cost, which is, let's say £500 extra savings per year. If someone's on the fence, we hope that this will kind of push them over into the world of EVs and, allowing these people to drive in a sustainable way. For cheaper. So how low? Really, you can't fall below minimum wage with the scheme. So after the salary sacrifice has been taken off for the car and the charge, you can't fall below minimum wage. Let's call that £6,000. So we're talking around £30,000 here to be eligible. Okay. What happens if the employee leaves the company? So because the employee is paying for the charge up front in the first instance, there's no kind of risk on the business, because if they don't submit their mileage, they don't save. So if an employee leaves, there's really no harm done at all. If they have enough salary in their final paycheck to cover the cost of charging for the previous few months, then they can absolutely salary sacrifice it then as well. So yeah, you can absolutely have the charge scheme without having the lease scheme. That's fine. But the car would have to be a company lease vehicle. Yes, we can. You can take the car to a new job or a new employer. We would obviously have to sign up the employer to the charge scheme, but that's absolutely fine. I have no intentions of leaving. Okay, good disclaimer there. I have put also the government link to the no benefit in kind on electricity in the chat as well, if anyone wants to have a look at it.
I can pick up Liam's question.
Yeah.
Change it up a bit. So Liam asks, you mentioned benefit in kind tax. I was reviewing a quote and there were benefit in kind tax deductions mentioned. Is this purely for informational purposes? So for the car, when you receive a car from your employer, like through the electric car scheme, there is a benefit in kind tax. For an electric car, it's quite low, and that helps drive the savings. So the quote you will have seen is for the benefit in kind tax for the car. You'll have seen the full quote for the car. If you add the charge scheme on top, there is no benefit in kind tax for the charge.
Okay.
Charles, I'll hit up Charles. Not
Yeah.
seen it before. Is it the first to offer the bundled approach on charging? Yes, I think we are. I've not seen it either. So obviously, why are we doing this? We want to be the first. We want to help add a lot of value, obviously, to our own electric car scheme, but so you're not only saving £10,000 on the average car, you're saving potentially another £4,000 on charging. And that's hopefully a good reason for prospective clients thinking about salary sacrifice to consider using us. But obviously, there's a lot of companies already signed up with other providers who might not be ready to change, not yet, and they can also engage in the charge scheme. So we wanted to make it independent in that regard. I'll go for Kim's. Does it include charging outside the UK? Yes, it does. Amazing. The Plugsurfing network we use has a huge network outside the UK. It's actually close to 80% of chargers across Europe. So it's even higher coverage in Europe. But that's just, I guess, a nice Brucey bonus. Back over to you.
Okay, Delphi, does this include personal mileage or is it only business mileage? So it's actually only for personal mileage. Any business mileage, your business should reimburse you at whichever rate they see fit. You can't be reimbursed twice for it, and therefore the charge scheme can only be everything else. So if you do 1,000 miles in a month, 200 a business, you can salary sacrifice the remaining 800 through this scheme. Tim, can you buy a home charger through this car charge scheme or only through the electric car scheme? So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but you need to get a car in order to get the benefit of getting a home charger in your salary sacrifice deal. Is that right?
That's right.
Cool.
So if we're providing the car, absolutely we can add on the home charge point installation. And that's all needs to be provided with the car though.
Okay, next one's really going to test my knowledge. Does the scheme apply to the Isle of Man? I believe it would, but the tax amount is different and therefore the savings would be different. But I think in theory, you probably could do it. Is that right, Tom?
I have to pass on that.
Okay, Peter, we can take that one offline, but Tom and I would embarrass ourselves trying to answer this one. Okay. Mike, is there a way to own the car? Yes. So at the end of your lease, the lessor where the car comes from would probably rather sell you the car than take it back, clean it up and send it to auction. So usually they will give you the option to buy the car. It's usually 5% above auction price that you can buy the car at the end of the lease. It's not guaranteed, but most of the time you'll be able to.
I could pick up Joe's question. Are you saying you can salary sacrifice your home energy? Just to clarify, you can salary sacrifice the cost of your home energy used to charge the car. So part of the scheme is us tracking how much energy that is and applying the right calculation to understand the cost of the home energy charging the car. You can't just salary sacrifice the whole of the cost of your home energy, just the car.
Robin, brilliant question. So we will put a cap on the amount that someone can use through salary sacrifice in terms.
Do you want to repeat the question just for people not reading the list?
Sorry, out of practice. So Robin's asking for lower paid employees leasing a car through the scheme where they're close to minimum wage. Would we need to do an affordability test if there's a risk the charge scheme takes them below minimum wage threshold? So yes, we will do a test with the information that we have available to us, and that will give a cap on the amount that the employee can salary sacrifice on top of their car. We don't know everything that comes out of the employee's salary, nor do we want that information. So it's down to you as an employer to do a final check just to check that it won't bring them below minimum wage. But we go a pretty decent way to making sure that doesn't happen. But we do ask you to do a final check.
I can take Colin's question. We are a 2 electric car household. Can my partner use the charge card as well? So let's imagine, Colin, you've got a company car, but your partner has a non-company car, let's say. You can only use the charge scheme for the company car. You must not use it, and you'll need to sign that you will not use it for any other car, not your friends or your partners or anything else. And part of the reason of us taking a mileage reading each month is to check that your car is doing an appropriate amount of mileage for the energy we're tracking going in it, so that you're not using this card to buy thousands and thousands more miles of energy than your car is doing. So for the compliance people and the tax people on the call, that is one of the checks we're doing to make sure that there's not kind of abuse of this scheme.
Just to cut in, going back to that previous question where it's asking, can you salary sacrifice your home energy? So even though it's for 2 cars, it's only for the company car, not for both electric cars.
That's correct.
Okay. So if I was to use, as I do, the car, my other car, to keep the mileage down because it's in excess of 20,000 a year just to and from work, So even though I do legitimately use both cars, I can use it for the company car.
That's right. Only
Okay.
the company car. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Okay. So Robert, what if I use the car, if I charge at work for free but pay elsewhere, how do you work out the saving if you just take total mileage? So based on the mileage and the usage of this card, the remainder we take basically a sensible estimation of. So it will be somewhere, it'd probably be very similar to if you're charging free for 100 miles and paying, 14p per mile for another 100 miles. We'll take somewhere in the middle. So we take a sensible estimate of the cost per mile that's not on the public network, and that's how we that's why we take the total mileage and how that relates to the payroll instructions. Okay, so Neil, so if you use the scheme to pay for charging, does that mean it comes out of your salary and can bring you out of the shadow tax? Absolutely. This will reduce your sort of taxable income, and therefore you save money that way. Is this available with your new DACH launch?
This is Germany.
Yeah.
We are launching in Germany. And so if your employer works there, we're very happy to work with them. Do get in touch. You can just reach out directly to me, tom@electriccarscheme.com. The charge scheme is not yet available in the German market. We'll launch it first in the UK before really working it out in Germany.
Okay, Sue, on your EV lease scheme, do you provide the car values for P11D purposes? So we actually go about 10 steps further than this. We provide you with the pre-filled HMRC documentation with all of the emissions, all of the values of the vehicle, all your payroll instructions, all your tax calculations. So really any admin to do with salary sacrifice and leasing vehicles, we've got you back and we've got you covered through our employer portal where all this information is available on a monthly basis. If you would like to have a one-to-one call, please do book one in with us. I would love to take you through how we help you.
How are you making your money on the charge scheme? I'll pick this one up.
Yeah.
So similar to the electric car scheme, we charge the employer a fee, and our fee is equal to the tax savings the employer will see. When the employer allows salary sacrifice, you as an employee's salary goes down, the employer pays less national insurance on your salary. And that saving in national insurance, we charge as a fee. So the employer is net neutral. But we charge the fee of that tax saving from the employer. That's how we make money.
Okay.
Are the cars brand new? So through the electric car scheme, you can get a new car, a newly leased car, or we have access to used lease cars. So either we actually don't use the word brand new because they are driven from the dealership to your home for delivery. And someone called us up to not call it brand new because sometimes it doesn't come on a flatbed. Shamila, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away if you've got more questions. Okay.
Okay.
So I can pick up the next one. Joe, how can I figure out what is spent on the car versus my home charging? So this is the bit that we do for you. So we are tracking your public charging, we're tracking your home charging, we're tracking your mileage, and we apply a calculation to understand the cost of the charge going into your electric car. That calculation has been reviewed by a couple of tax experts to get the green light. And if you onboard yourself to the scheme and you want to go through that step by step, I'm very happy to go through that with you. Awesome. Neil, we're already talking with you. Yes. Come on, Neil. Let's go. And Trev, I'm glad you got your used car arriving Monday. Let me tell you a bit about how mine arrived. So this comes from a Cinch warehouse in Birmingham. Someone will arrive. They're very pleasant. They'll be wearing a Cinch jacket. They may well call you saying, "Hi, I'm from Cinch to deliver your used car." Obviously, check it out. It should arrive looking and smelling like new. If it doesn't, give us a call. But we have a very good feedback on the car delivery for used cars. Will you buy any contracts we have elsewhere for us to move over to you? So Sue, this sounds like you might have company cars or salary sacrifice cars already at the company. and you're considering moving over to us, so your existing leases, we could port them over to monitor them and apply salary sacrifice for you. More normally, if someone moves from another provider to us, they will allow the existing cars to be managed by the old provider, but any new cars to be managed by us. But we're definitely happy to have a chat. We can port them over if we get all the details on them. So that would be absolutely fine. Booking a one-to-one.
Okay, Jonathan, if you book into a one-to-one call, we can kind of take you through exactly how the service charge works. And Shamia, sorry, two times talk, no worries at all. What I meant was, are there cars 24 and 25 plate? Yes, absolutely. So they do pop up every now and again on the used cars. Sometimes they are 1 year old, sometimes they're 2 years old. So just keep an eye on the used car page and you'll see the plate of them. If you let our EV specialist know what you're looking for, they may even give you a call when one comes in. Okay. Any plans to onboard the BYD Sea Lion? I actually don't know the answer to that question. That sounds like some sort of scuba diving equipment to me. Tom, do you have any idea?
I've not seen the Sea Lion, but we offer every electric car available in the UK. So if the Sea Lion is the next dolphin and the next seal, we had BYD at our office yesterday showing off their cars. They look really cool.
Yeah, it's the new one. It's
the brand new one
in January.
It will be on the site. If it's not on the site already, it will go on as soon as we can get lease prices for it.
Okay, cool.
That automatically happens. And if you're already available, you might be talking to one of our EV specialists. They will be able to pick up the phone to BYD, even if we don't have lease prices yet, and reserve you one, so you can be first in line. Trev, I'm still confused about how you track the cost of charging, home charging versus public charging. That's okay. It's complex, and we're purposely not going through it step by step on this call, because it will take a bit too much time, and it will be good to talk through back and forth one-to-one. We have put in measures to ensure that there's not fraudulent use, but for sure, booking a one-to-one, very happy to go through all the detail and answer all the questions. The site I'm on is Avens. Shamila, I might need to understand what that's about. If you want to check out our scheme, you can go to electriccarscheme.com and look and click calculate my savings, and you'll be able to see all the cars we offer, which is all the cars on the UK market. Sue, I want to chat. We're a payments company in the EV industry. Wonderful. I'm really excited about potential partnership opportunities. I know there are a lot of prospective partners that have small business clients that work in the fleet space, that support businesses with their fleets and maybe their company cars and their business mileage. And this is obviously a new category of personal mileage salary sacrifice.
Collins asked if you can put a private plate on these cars. You certainly can. You just have to deal with the lease company and they will help you do that. Okay. I've just popped a link in there, and so is Neil, actually, which is very kind of you, Neil. Thanks for helping us with the webinar. It's a link to book a call. So if the QR codes on screen don't work, you can book a call through the website there. I've just popped a link to our homepage as well. If you go on our homepage and click calculate my savings, that's where you will see all of the used cars and all the cars we have available through salary sacrifice, along with the tax calculator, which is very, very handy. But should we wrap up there, Tom? If there's no questions.
Absolutely. I was going to say thank you very much, because there was a lot of good questions. I really enjoyed that. I know we didn't go step by step through the details of the calculation. We did that on purpose. We had a chat before whether it makes sense on this call. But if you do want to do that to talk about onboarding your company or as a partner, that's no problem. Book in. If you feel we've not answered your questions well, just email me, Tom@electriccarscheme.com, and Really happy to get so many people on the call and excited about this. Please share the word. If you're an employee, get your employer signed up. If you're an existing customer, we'll roll out to your drivers as well. And if you're a prospective customer, we'd love to help you with the electric car scheme.
Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and of course, a good weekend. Thank you very much.
Bye.